Hello everybody, this is Tim here again, here with another movie review. I just recently watched Thor Ragnarok. Now, I had a really good time with this movie. I'll just go ahead and give my review. I'd give it 3.5 stars out of 4. It's the best Marvel film I've seen this year. I like this a lot better than Spider-Man Homecoming, which I still thought was good, but not anything to write home about. I like this better than Guardians of the Galaxy, which I thought was pretty good. This movie was really good. Easily the best Thor movie. Easily. The first Thor I thought was good, kind of an average flick. The second one I thought was garbage. This one I thought was really good. I had a really fun time with this movie. The biggest problem with the movie is it's really two movies in one. You got one story about Ragnarok happening with Thor's long-lost sister, the Goddess of Death, played by Cate Blanchett, who does a great job in the film. Easily my favorite Marvel villain after this film. And then you got this other story with Thor and Hulk, and it's like a buddy space movie. It's kind of like a Star Trek episode with a little bit too much of Guardians of the Galaxy mixed in, but extremely fun. That's really the highlight of the movie. When the movie starts out, it's kind of like this movie's nothing like a Thor comic or a Thor movie. It's like a Thor acid trip. It's like a heavy metal acid trip. When it starts out, Thor's like battling this giant lava fire dude named Solter or something like that, however you pronounce it, and it's playing like this awesome metal song. It's just a blast. And after that, Thor and Loki get lost. They go into Earth and they meet Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, his cameo felt kind of thrown into the movie. He really wasn't even needed. They find Odin, and Anthony Hopkins dies in this movie. His character does. Big spoilers. This review's going to be filled with spoilers. He dies in the movie. Later on in the movie, you learn that Thor's hammer is just like channels his power, and that his real power comes within. That he can summon lightning and go like become even more powerful than basically what he is. And he gets defeated by Cate Blanchett or whatever, and Loki does too. She pretty much kicks their asses. They wind up on this planet with Jeff Goldblum, and Loki got there first, so he's like made friends with Jeff Goldblum. And Jeff Goldblum is great here. He's hilarious. The movie does feel a little bit too much like Guardians of the Galaxy here. This is when Hulk shows up in the movie. Really, the whole Hulk part and everything with them being on another planet could have been took out of the movie, and the movie could have just been a Ragnarok movie. Really, this is like a Thor 3 and 4 fused together into one Thor movie. But if you would have done that, you would have lost a lot of the fun that was in this movie, so I'm kind of glad it's there. That's the biggest problem with the movie. You spend so much time with Thor and Hulk on this other planet with Jeff Goldblum and in these gladiator matches that you forget that Cate Blanchett's character is even there for a while. And you got Carl Urban, who's hilarious here. That's like the guy who's took over for Heimdall's position, and he's like trying to show off these machine guns or whatever that he's got. He's like hitting on chicks. It's really funny. Some of the comedy is hit or miss at times, but when the movie just becomes an all-out zany acid trip with friggin' giant dog wolf beasts and shit, it's just a blast. I just had a lot of fun watching this movie. Anybody that watches my YouTube channel knows I love like wacky horror movies and shit like that. This movie was right up my alley tone-wise. Yeah, not all the comedy works. It is hit or miss sometimes. Sometimes there's some like cutesy jokes that interrupt the tension when the movie tries to have tension, and I don't like that kind of stuff. Every once in a while the movie needs to be serious, and it does kind of squander that a little bit, but for 99% of the time this movie is just like extremely fucking funny. And Cate Blanchett is great, and I love her look that she has in the movie. I love how she's just like unstoppably powerful. And I also love this movie. It has so much balls. Like Asgard actually gets freaking destroyed in the movie. Another problem I have with the movie is the Warriors 3, Sif, and all them. Sif is not even mentioned in this film. Jamie Alexander is like MIA. I know she was doing something else at the time. She couldn't do the movie, but her character's not even mentioned. I didn't like that at all. I didn't like how they just got rid of Natalie Portman's character. Her character did suck in the other two movies, but I didn't like how they just kind of got rid of her as a joke. Like, she broke up with you, and he's like, I broke up with her. And, you know, so they just kind of throw her away. They made the relationship so meaningful in the last two movies, it seemed like it should have been more important here. But at the same time, it was a breath of fresh air not to have her in this movie, just have a space adventure with Thor. Easily made this the best Thor movie. I was so glad that she wasn't in this movie. Even though it was a waste of her character, how they got her away, it was stupid. But when she wasn't in the movie was a breath of fresh air. I loved it that she wasn't here. The fight between Hulk and Thor is friggin' awesome. It kind of ends too quick. I would have liked a little bit more, but seeing Hulk and Thor go at it, and they hit each other with this super like sound wave hits when Thor unleashes his full power, and it's like in the Coliseum. It causes this massive like Dragon Ball Z style explosion of big giant sound wave and like wrecks the stadium. That was friggin' awesome. And Thor tries to calm Hulk down by doing the same thing that Black Widow did to Hulk in Avengers 2, except it doesn't work, and he like smashes Thor the same way he did Loki, and Loki's up in the stadium going, yes! Kind of, he's like, I love that move. That was really funny. Jeff Goldblum was hilarious as well, as like this really overly feminine ruler of this planet. One thing at least to know, they end up getting off the planet. Loki betrays Thor because he wants to like rule a planet. He wants to get in the Grandmaster's favor or whatever, who's played by Jeff Goldblum, long enough till he can take over. But Thor knows he's going to betray him, and he kind of just betrays him instead. You didn't really need that. I would have been perfectly fine if Loki didn't betray Thor again, because in this film they pretty much by the end mend their relationship, and they're pretty much comrades by the end. And I like that. I like that their relationship finally progressed. It's about friggin' time. You get to the end, and they finally get back to to Asgard, and they have to end up releasing the fire guy, and they make him, Loki does like a spell or whatever, makes him even more powerful, and he's like wrecking the planet because they can't defeat Kate Blanchett's character. Even Thor at full power can't defeat her. And I love this action scene at the end where Thor, she rips out Thor's friggin' eye, and I thought that was ballsy. He's like blind in one eye, and he has a patch like Odin. I thought that was really cool. And she's like, what were you the god of again? And he has like a dream or whatever, or vision where Odin's spirit is communicating with him and tells him about his power is really within. And he unleashes the friggin' thunder. That was awesome. And it starts playing that badass heavy metal song from the beginning of the movie. And you get all these cool action scenes. That's kind of when the movie hit its peak. When that was happening, I was like, favorite Marvel movie ever, baby. But after that wears off and the movie comes down from its high and it gets back into the story. You start to realize it's not the best Marvel film. It's not as good as Avengers or Winter Soldier. It's not as good as the first Iron Man. It's not as good as the first Guardians of the Galaxy. But after those, it's not as tightly written either as Civil War. It's not as good a movie as Civil War, but I had a much more fun time watching this than Civil War. Because even though Civil War is a great movie, technically, script-wise, as tight as it is, the movie has just no surprises. It just has such a generic feel to it. It's just too predictable. But it is a slightly better movie than this because it's slightly tighter as a script. In this film, it suffers from being really two movies in one. That's the biggest problem here. But when this movie's like, at the end of it, when it goes back to like acid trip mode, it's like heavy metal Thor movie, man, it's just a blast. Because Thor is a stupid character. If people really like Thor, that's cool. I never really liked Thor. I was kind of wishy-washy on him. I was like, I don't mind him. I like the actor does a good job. I just don't care about the character. Here, they know the character's not that great, so they just have a friggin' blast with him, which was the right idea. This movie was just a blast. Even though Civil War was technically, as a whole, a slightly better film than this one, I would rather watch this again than Civil War. I would rather watch this film again than Civil War. Because even though Civil War is a well-written movie, and altogether it's a great film, but it's just too standard. It's just too standard of a movie for Marvel. Or just in movies in general. There's just not enough to it. It just feels like the biggest come down after Winter Soldier. It lacks the surprises and stuff of Winter Soldier. It just goes more for a straightforward story. All in all, this was a really good movie, really entertaining time. They're two totally different toned movies, really and different style movies. Really, I'd rather watch this movie just because I enjoy the style more. Civil War is just more bland than this movie. Even if it is better written as a whole, it's just more bland. This movie's just way more fun. Easily my favorite Marvel film of the year. I do have a feeling Justice League will be slightly better than this one. I think the script for Justice League will be a little bit tighter than this movie, but I don't know if Justice League will be as fun as this movie. It could be. This film was just so much fun. I know that seems kind of cliche when it comes to Marvel movies saying it was just so much fun, but honest to goodness, I had a fucking blast. And then at the end of it, Asgard blows up with Kate Blanchett's character. Now, they could bring her back if they want to. I wouldn't blame them if they did. Honestly, my favorite villain by far in the MCU. You get to the end, they're heading to Earth, and Loki and Thor are friends now, and they're going to go to Earth and go to like someplace in the Highlands or whatever, or Scotland, to make a new Asgard, new home for the people, because it's like home is where you make it, just all in all, a really good time. If you just want a fun time, just to kick back, this type of movie I could like drink a beer with, or sip some wine or something, just sit back and go, yeah, while I got heavy metal music blasting in the background. Just a fucking fun time. This movie is not as solid. Once again, it's not as tightly written as Civil War. It's not as tightly written as Wonder Woman either. But this movie is more my style than both those films. So honest to goodness, I prefer this film to Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is a better movie, but style-wise, this is much more me as a person. I just had a much more fun friggin' time with this. Sorry about that. I just had a much more fun friggin' time with this movie. Easily better than Spider-Man Homecoming. That movie was a little bit of a letdown for me, just personally. And better than Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Just a really fucking fun time. And I love the Stan Lee cameo in this. It's hilarious. Thor is like, and Jeff Goldblum's like, chamber or whatever, and he has to get his hair cut, and he's like, I'm gonna cut your hair, and it's Stan Lee with robot parts, and he's like, they're not as sharp as they used to be, and Thor's like, please don't cut my hair, please don't cut my hair. That was funny. Yeah, all in all, really good movie. I had a blast with it. I didn't love it, but it was a really good time. I'd easily watch it again. I can't wait to buy it on Blu-ray. Really good time. Wonder Woman and Civil War were better films than this. Script-wise, they were tighter films. This film is just more my style. I just had a much more fun time with this film. So all in all, see you guys again with the next review.